there's a lot to consider when you're looking at partnership. And, especially in today's current environment with mergers and acquisitions, right? We have a lot of firms that are, from a succession planning standpoint, trying to determine, okay, do I stay independent? Am I going to go into a private equity investment? Am I going to sell to a larger firm? Am I going to pass it down to the next generation of leaders internally? So there's a lot of different dynamics at play, and I think the book does a great job of kind of outlining all the different areas of perspective that a partner should really think about as they are considering, okay, is this where I want to land for the next, the rest of my career, essentially, right? So I think it's really helpful to kind of help streamline some of those thoughts that a lot of emerging partners have day to day, but don't always know how to digest that, right? Those thoughts, those feelings, those emotions that they might have towards partnership. It also gives a lot of great insight into questions that emerging partners could ask their firm and their managing partners or whoever they feel comfortable asking, to just kind of get an insight of transparency around, what is partnership like at this firm? How do I really advance and hold on to ownership opportunities for leadership as a partner? What does that equity buy-in look like? Is an equity buy-in necessary? Are there non-equity opportunities? How do I manage my book of business now? What are the performance expectations? What's the compensation model? There's just so many things that are involved with being a partner that we don't always have day-to-day conversations on, and sometimes those conversations often happen very late in the game. And what I mean by that, sometimes you might be a senior manager or a principal or director at a firm, and you might not have that conversation until about 3 years before you make partner. Sometimes that information is needed earlier on to determine, is this the place that I want to stay from a values, from a culture perspective? Do I agree with the direction, the strategic direction that we're going in? So like I said, I think I just listed out a mouthful of considerations that an emerging partner needs. But the playbook really gives a great opportunity for emerging partners to streamline their thoughts and take into considerations that they might not even have thought of in the past.
That's great. And I appreciate the positive comments for sure. Yeah, I mean, being in the profession so long, and to have so many roles, it was pretty easy to write my 314 pages, tell you the truth. So there's a lot of how-tos in there, but I spent many years coaching over 100 emerging partners. Lexi, let's switch back to emerging professionals. How does the AICPA view emerging professionals? Why is it important to them? Tell me a little bit about the scope and the nature and the size, and how many years in profession? Are they high school? Are they college? What are they?
Yeah, so for our audience at the AICPA, and emerging professionals, anyone between or really before they hit 15 years of experience in the profession. So as long as they're under 15 years of experience, they're considered an emerging professional. Now, a lot of people might say, well, at 15 years, Lexi, I'm a partner. I don't feel like I'm emerging. But when you think about your
Read the book, right?
Yeah, right? But when you do think about your career in its totality, typically a career is usually 40 to 45 years.
Oh.
So when you think about 15 years in, you're only a third of the way into your career, and that's quite a scary thought. But you still are emerging, right? I would hope that at 15 years, even if you do hold the title of partner, that you don't know everything, right? You don't know what's to come. Things are always changing. So I think it is a good kind of position to really say that 15 years of experience or less is really what I would consider an emerging professional. And it's really important because these are going to be our future ready leaders.
Absolutely.
We talk about Rise 2040. One of the, I guess I'll back up. Rise 2040 is really based on Dan Burris's methodology of the anticipatory organization. Mm-hmm. And really having an anticipatory mindset really means understanding the trends that are happening that are based on future facts, which we call hard trends, and the opportunities that stem from those trends. So the three main categories of certain facts, future opportunities, are technology, demographics, and regulation. Whether you are pulling back on regulation or advancing regulation, right? The actual change in policy is regulation in itself. That's always going to be certain, especially, from a United States dynamic. We typically change presidents every 4 to 8 years. So that administration change there's a lot that can happen in those 4 years, as we've seen in the last couple of administrations. So, the regulation piece is really important. The demographics piece is especially important.
Very much so.
We have a large baby boomer population that is going to be retiring in the next 5 to 10 years. That'll kind of cycle out the last of the baby boomers. So the next generation, Gen X, right, is going to become that top tier of leadership, essentially. But we also know that we don't have as many people coming into the profession, let alone the workforce, from a Gen Z and Gen Alpha perspective, as we do baby boomers retiring. So there's a gap in the market. So there's going to be more that's expected of those emerging professionals as they come into the profession. So part of that is really setting them up for success, helping them from the technical side, but also helping them learn how to be a professional. What does a professional in today's environment look like from a technology standpoint as well? I'm honestly kind of shocked that we haven't brought it up yet, but AI is really changing the game in all emerging technologies, right? Artificial intelligence is not just Claude or ChatGPT or Copilot.
Oh, for sure.
But it's really all of these technologies that have continued to evolve, and we've seen them time and time again, right? Mm-hmm. Google is an AI search engine. We've had Google for as long as I can remember, but we never thought about it in that way.
Alexa, I think, is one of the best AI tools out there.
Yeah, so it's something that has slowly, I think, been introduced into our lives over the last 15 years, but now we're really at a point of inflection where we're seeing those emerging technologies advance much quicker than they have in the past. So it's also understanding from a proficiency standpoint, how do I utilize technology to become more efficient and more productive, to free up space in my day to work on those high volume projects, to work on those really value add advisory projects within the profession. So it's really important for us to continue to invest in emerging professionals and help develop them and set them up for success. I like to say, AICPA is not a CPE provider. That's a part of what we do, but we really focus on the leadership development, career opportunities.
Absolutely.
And really, I think the most important thing is advocacy.
Absolutely.
What we do, from an advocacy perspective within the profession, on Capitol Hill, within state and local legislatures, there's just so much within the profession that is so great that we advocate for and we protect the public interest.
What's your view of leadership? Tell me about you and leadership and why it's burning in your heart.
Yeah, I think for me it's really about servant leadership, and that's what really holds true to my core values, and really just supporting the next level of the profession, those emerging leaders and emerging partners that are coming through. When I think about servant leadership, it's really, am I a team player, right? Am I supporting my team? It's not about, egotistical leadership. It's not about being seen and not, at the top levels, but it's really about how can I best support the team and best support my audience that I'm serving and just the professionals within the profession, right? Helping them get from where they are today to where they want to be tomorrow.
When I left the firm, you took over the Leadership Academy. So what opportunity did that give you?
Yeah, I think it was really instrumental to my career. So when you left Tronconi Segura, when I took over Leadership Academy, I really saw it as an opportunity because, gosh, at the time, I think I was only like 5 or 6 years into my career at TSA. And it really was just a great opportunity to really say, okay, can I do this other avenue of what a CPA can do from a leadership and development standpoint? So being able to work with our steering committee to really identify, okay, what topics do we think are top of mind that our professionals really can use help with? And then really curating those presentations, practicing public speaking. So for me as a leader and just from my professional skills development, it was really instrumental to how I got to AICPA today. And I know that's a very long story. But at the end of the day, though, I really value how I could give back to my firm and really take on a leadership role in that way to help our other professionals upskill and really identify these leadership traits, because a lot of the times, especially in public accounting, you're promoted based on your technical capabilities, but that managerial training, the human leadership piece, often is not overly emphasized in your early career training.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So early in your career, say high school or before, did you get interested in leadership at that point? Was there somebody or something that you were thrown into or either volunteered for that rekindled that spark in you?
I think just through different endeavors, whether it was a school club or playing field hockey and softball, I never truly held like a captain title because I played softball. I did play a travel league where I was a captain, but most of the time it was house league, just playing with my friends. But we did win 3 championships in a row.
Wow.
For our house league back in the day. Always attended the All-Star games, got nominated for those, got trophies, MVP, unsung hero, all those things. So it's always great to be recognized. But I think what I'm most proud of is the impact that I can have. And whether that was helping, a teammate, whether it was softball or field hockey, develop a new skill or just support them. Versus what I've done in some of my charitable endeavors. I'm
Absolutely.
very active with Blood Cancer United, formerly the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, Big Brothers, Big Sisters. I'm very proud of my little. She just finished her first year at UB, and I'm really, really proud of her. She's going for physical therapy. So it's been great seeing her step into her own leadership roles and really taking that opportunity as a first-generation college student. And, I think even from an early age, me and my sister, I don't know if you remember probably 20 years ago when, we were kids, we were doing like those beads that you would put together and you would iron them over and then, we'd throw a magnet on them. We used to sell those for Roswell Park. And
Wow.
my aunt, a family friend who I called an aunt, she had lung, breast, and brain cancer.
Wow.
And she was really going through it, my Aunt Lily. And I was in the 4th grade, and I just remembered, like, I just wanted to help. So me and my friends, we made all of this inventory with, our boondoggle, with our magnets, and started to do bake sales and garage sales, and we were always on the corner across the street from the school trying to do lemonade stands and just fundraising, and we ended up fundraising about $500 that summer. Even to the point where we were going around door to door picking up bottles and cans to do returns for 5 cents. But, it was really great because I knew that I could then pay for a flight for my aunt to get a special treatment that extended her life for a couple more months. So
Great.
it
Wow.
was,
That's
I
very
think
moving.
just helping others has always been a passion of mine, whether it was through a charitable foundation or in the trust that we have as CPAs for instilling trust in the public, interest of what the profession is.
Well, Lexi, thank you very much. It's been very insightful, and I like to think I know you pretty well, but I know you even better now. So thank you very much, and have a great day.
Thanks, Jim. Happy to be here.